Hello, welcome to Flory Models Kit Review time. Today we've got the Batmobile. Now this is from the brand new film. Okay, this is the 1/25th scale kit from Moebius. Now we've built Tumbler. Moebius kits, let's just say they're a little bit clunky. It's like they're a Mattel type kit that's been made into a kit. So it's very chunky, very lumpy, bumpy, but actually, let's face it, they've got the rights to do this stuff, and that's the great thing about it. There's not many companies who chase to get the actual rights to be able to build screen films and various things like that. But obviously, Moebius, we're thinking Battlestar Galactica and all stuff like that. Absolutely fantastic. So as you can see down here in the box, got a lovely thing. This is what I love. It's the way the evolution of the Batmobile comes along. So as I say, some of those more dodgy ones, shall we say, from the 90s. But now we are definitely with Tumbler. We've got the new version, very much going back to the old look of the Batmobile, having the sort of, the cockpit near the rear, all front, and everything else like that. But certainly you can see Tumbler in here as well with these wings at the back and all the bits and pieces. So generally, looking around the box, you haven't got too much on here. Okay, gives you a look of it, but it's to say it's very nice. It's got some very sharp angles and stuff like that, and again, it's just one of those ones where you really can go to town, with the weathering, with the black work and everything else like that. Now this is completely done in cellophane, so we have to get that out as well. So there we go, looking absolutely fantastic. So in the box we have, get it out of the box, okay, full up as always. We start off with the instructions. So the instructions, as we just pull that top camera out just a little bit to be able to get them all in. Usual thing, obviously a little bit about, don't kill yourself in painting and all the rest of it. And then, as I said before, we like this with Moebius because they tend to do the instructions and give you a little bit about it as well as you're going right the way through. So we've got the engine section going in, one piece lower chassis, quite a basic suspension setup and all the rest of it. Then we're moving into the lower body. We can see over here some of the side panels, some of the fairing, and some of the sort of support structure going on in the inside, and then working our way through. And we've got the tyres. Again, it's what we're saying, it's very clunky, but let's face it, we're just after the overall here. We're not going for refined details, all right? So again, some more of the parts going down there. So you've got the front fender system going down in. It's these ones going in. The wheels, all the brakes, got the brake discs and calipers going in there. Then on to the rears, okay, so mounting them out. This is just final sides, and then obviously into the rears, as you can see. Seats going in the cockpit, a little bit basic, but again, this is what we're saying. You could go to town. I know the guys on the forum have done things with LEDs, with Tumbler, and various other things, okay. Then we've got the front canopy section, windshield being fitted down into there. Then we've obviously got some of this gun type of thing going down there, so we've got a turret system going on there, areas around the front, and round the back again, okay, and then the wings, inner and outer parts of the wings, various things going down in there, and we've got, obviously this is the system for the rear wing support. Looks quite technical, putting all of those in, and then mounting up the mid chassis, I should say, because you've got the lower, the sides, this is the mid one going in there with the turret at the front, as you can see. Then we've got the rear wing support system being all put in, and then the cockpit drops into that, okay. Then it's going to be a case of putting the wing system all onto the back, okay, and getting all those fitted in, and then we've got the actual canopy assembly being a drop fit in onto the top, okay. And then we can basically see it here, all painted up. Okay, I always think as well, they're painting, I don't know who does these, but they're never the best in the world, okay? And but usual thing, silver cap, pointing it out, the dark gunmetal grey, the various things, obviously to get this right. Okay, gloss black wheels, quite nicely pointed out. And then we got the sort of transparent headlight system being put onto this one. And again, but it's nice to get all the different angles in there, just like that. And then we got some nicer work at the back with obviously the Batman v Superman. Now, we won't talk about obviously the film because it must be bad because I haven't even seen it, and I'm a big fan of all this type of thing, but quite frankly, no. All right, okay, so wheels and tyres. If we just drop the side camera in just nice and close so you can get a good feel for this, so we can see actually what we've got. Okay, so looking at the tyres, you can see we've got nice tyre tread, a little bit of a centre seam running down the middle, but nothing you would really worry too much about, actually. I think that's pretty nicely done. All of that, no problem at all. Not as bad as we've seen perhaps on older kits of theirs where it's had big bits of flash and rubber and everything else. Generally they seem to be very nicely done in there, and we can see here a little bit more tread on the front one, same pan, same center seam running right the way through. We've got no outer wall marks or anything else down in there, okay, but generally, as I said, these are nicer I think than the ones we saw for Tumbler. Let's just put it like that. The only thing is they tend to be quite hard. It's a very hard rubber with these. They are, you know, as you say, look, they just stand up. But trying to get them to fit to the hub and properly fit to the hub, not just sit there with a bit of a gap and wobble room, is a bit of a problem. And to be honest, we tried various things last time to try and rectify that and didn't really come up with anything. So as you can see down here, we've actually got the first bag. They are tape bags, not glued. Handy. Okay, let's pop that over there. So if we start on this one, as I said, Moebius tends to be chunky, flashy, you know, perhaps not the best systems in the world for doing these things, and again this sort of shows that level of detail that we were looking at. So you got a little bit of flash, quite crude, that's the only way you would really describe it, detail, but this is where you can come in. You can obviously enhance detail and everything else like that, but generally we're looking at the fender sets down in here. You know, perhaps in other manufacturers this is maybe a multi-part, this is just one part going in. Big locating tabs, things like that. You'll notice that right the way through on these, but this is what sort of Moebius do. They're the more basic fit together, shall we say, and then you can add enhancements as you would like. But as you can see, very nicely done on all of those down there. Quite nasty ejector pins pretty much on everywhere, but again, it's a bit of a trait of Moebius at the end of the day. Texture into the plastic tends to be pretty dissimilar, so we've got quite a lot of texture on here, which is quite nice stuff for the actual the drive system down the bottom here. This is obviously the front ones, I suppose, with the driving arm going across here, but generally I don't know how well you can actually see some of the more closer details. The venting and the graining is okay, but just things like these guns, it's almost like they're halfway there. It looks like they're molded in low res or something else like that. But as you see, moving around it, it's not too bad. It's all adequate. I don't think it's anything bad. Okay. So again, large lumpy parts, as you can see just down on here. We have got some nice detail in these wheels. Okay, so obviously this is the hubs for the wheels. Huge, big bits of plastic, solid moulding, casting. As I said, this is what I mean. I'm not being disrespectful to Moebius, but it's almost like if you imagine if you went out and bought a child's toy version, it's almost like that's what it is, because they are always big and chunky and it feels like you could go off and play with them. And so I'm not being disrespectful to them, it's just that's what it feels like. It feels like that all the parts should then be put together and then they're just sold as a whole one. Okay, but generally looking around, again, you have got various ejector pins and various things in here that you might want to take care of, but again, if they're not seen, I wouldn't worry about it. No problem at all. I don't know if this is the front wing, but generally quite nicely done. Big chunky areas right the way through. Okay, so we've actually got the cockpit tub itself, and as you can see, it gives you an idea of the scale of this thing. It's going to be quite large, nicely done. Again, you've got this sort of multi-texture going on around here, because we've got texture on the front here, but when you actually get to the rear, it polishes off to nothing. Okay, so again, very odd how it does. Again, quite crude, you know, these guys down in here, not too much going on down in detail wise, but again, straightforward dry brush and wash would probably bring these up quite adequately. They're going to be hidden away anyway. And again, looking around at some of these other parts, nothing, you know, it's nothing you go wild over and all the rest of it, but it is halfway there. Okay, so the actual cockpit itself, no problem at all with that. That's looking all very nice. The bucket seats, again, some nice touches there. We've got some nice in scoops, but again, they lead to nowhere, so I don't know if the real one leads to nowhere. I thought they might go somewhere, but clearly not with these. Okay, a little bit of touch. You know, things like here is a classic example. The brake discs onto the wheels themselves don't actually have much detail. Okay, but again, for an overall, it's no problem. The engine, this obviously side blocks to the engine. Nothing really going on down there. Again, it's just, you know, you make your mind up if you like it. But some of these parts, as you're looking around, you can see no problems really at all with those. Just some of these that have got raised quite heavily for the ejector pins, you might want to think about getting in there, taking care of those. So I don't know how well they're going to foul and clash with the actual parts as you're putting it together. Okay, so 2 screws per bag seems to be the norm. Okay, so again, looking down in here, big wings, as you can see, got a nice little bit of engraved detail on there, but obviously these are supposed to be, I would have thought, have been carbon fibre type things anyway, so you're not going to get those. No problems at all. Can't see anything. As I say, this is what we're talking about, this engine business. Very crude, okay? But as you say, I don't think it's anything that's a real headache or a problem. But you see with these guys, no problem at all with them. But these wing sets and the parts up here, as you look at them, very crude. And as I say, more ejector pins that may get in the way or they may not. Okay, so this will be the lower part of the wings set as you see them on here, and then obviously we've got, looks like something to do with the steering mechanism, another part of the engine, and then this is the supports for all this back wing section on here. Again, we've got a little bit of burring between the actual layers of this wing set as you're looking down on this one, but nothing massive. I thought it would be worse than that, if I'm honest. Again, going to take a little bit of clean up, a little bit of care and attention to put that guy together. Last sprue. So you do get quite a lot of plastic down in here, and don't forget, it is going to be a lump. It's not going to be something totally small. Okay, so let's have a look at the lower chassis. So we've got a little bit of trademarking down in here, as you might imagine. Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, and related products and entitlement, and for the DC Comics and Warner Brothers, blah 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 blah, Moebius, made in China, 2016. Okay, but as I said, at least it's all here. So this is your lower chassis. Again, not too bad detail. I think by the time you come in, you could pretty much go along with this one. I'm going to have some nice details on this one. Again, very solid construction. No problem with that at all. Again, just little bits of flash here and there. They just need a little bit of a tidy up. And again, it's a shame that these support springs, you know, down here don't have much more detail. It'd be nice to have just a little bit more detail, a bit more refinedness. Like the steering wheel, for instance. Again, it's something and nothing, something you're not going to really get excited about doing. All right, but that gives you an idea of the size. And then we got the top. Again, very nice. Just looking around, it's very nice, the air scoop system, very obviously reminiscent of the real one for dragging air around it and everything else for the aerodynamics. Nicely done. The gun turret area, it has got this texture all the way over it, which I think will lend itself really well to actually doing the kit. No problem whatsoever. No figure for the internal, as you might imagine. There's nobody going to go in this one, so you don't actually get said Batman. And I don't know about posing it open. Okay, the clear parts, which if you remember Tumbler, we just painted black from the inside to give us that effect because we didn't worry about the inside because the glass, to be honest, was horrible. This, I'm happy to report, is a lot better. If you look in here, we have got clear clarity across all windows, no problem at all with that. In fact, that's lovely and clear, no problem at all. So definitely they fixed any little problems they might have had with that one. And then even these headlights, they look quite good as well. They're nice, clean, clear, concise. No problem with that whatsoever. So there we go. That is the new Batmobile for 2016. Again, it's Moebius. Perhaps you want to test, take your time, do a bit of dry fitting. The only trouble you tend to find with dry fitting with Moebius stuff is because it has these big pins that all hold it together. Once they go in, they don't like to come out. So sometimes you can have a little bit of trouble that way. But generally just watch yourself with flash with them. I tend to find when I've built their stuff before, if you take care of the flash, a little bit of dry fitting, you can actually get away with very little filler, if any, that's needed at all with these things. But if you don't, you get flash, it gets in the way, it makes big gaps and joints and everything else like that, and it can make, technically, what is not a bad kit, a real handful to put together. So as I said, spending 10 minutes taking care of a few little problems will save you hours later on when you get further down the build. So there we go, that is the 1/25th scale Moebius Batmobile for 2016.